And the moderator today is Jennifer Hayes. If you have any questions, you can type in the chat and she will tell me and I will get back to you. So today I'm going to talk about, this is actually called CyberWise, and we're going to talk about the safeties within online today with the students and how to teach them, some lesson plans, some things that can be helpful for you. I kind of geared it towards elementary school, but I want to show you some different tools and different resources that you can use. So I'm going to screen share for my presentation. Sorry guys, trying to go full screen here. Goodness me. Sorry about that. Got ahead. Okay, so this is my Prezi for digital citizenship. And first, kind of talking about digital citizenship with the students, it's kind of a really big vocabulary for them, especially for myself. I teach first and second grade in the Montessori setting, first, second, and third grade next year. And so really having the students understand what is digital citizenship, what does it mean? We talk about what a good citizen is and kind of break it down, following the rules online. A good citizen is a safe community for all. So we kind of talk about digital, what does digital mean, and what is a good citizen? And so we kind of talk about being a good citizen and how we can be a good citizen digitally online and being safe. The rules, I've really kind of looked along the internet and tried to find different things for my class. I know I did a lot of digital citizenship within the first 2 weeks of school, along with rules in the classroom and before they were able to visit the computer lab and really talking about things. I found this one online and I was able to share some things with my students on this poster itself. I printed it out, but we also came up with rules together as a class. So something that resonates with them more when they actually create them themselves. And just looking here, this is just one I found I wanted to share. I thought it was pretty good. And it talks about listening to your heart, respecting yourself and others anytime you're on the computer, standing up to any cyberbullying. When you're at school, you will use your personal device for education purposes only. That's a big one, especially for my second graders. They bring their devices to school sometimes, and we talk about, the appropriate things that you should be using on your device, and they pull them out on the playground sometimes, and that's one that we really have to be really train them on and really talk to them about your personal device and using it for educational purposes when you're on campus. Listening to your gut and making sure that you are safe and appropriate when online. And again, depending on what ages that you were working with, it's really how you're going to present the information. Copyright laws and things like that, and citing your work and your sources. For my first and second graders, they do a lot of projects. They do a lot of research on the internet, especially in the Montessori setting. And so we've really honed in a lot this year on understanding exactly what copyright laws are and sourcing things. And of course, they're young, but starting them out young is really important so they understand how important it really is. And then some safety things, letting the students know they can only go to approved sites. We talk about how the Garland ISD pops up and says, the filter says it's not approved. You cannot, stop, that kind of thing. And they really, in first and second grade, they really want to know what exactly does that mean. So talking about it before it happens, talking about how that's a filter and at home they don't have that filter and how they need to be really careful when they are visiting different sites online. That they will be monitored. I put this in here because there has been situations before in my class where I've had Miss Rhonda come down to my classroom and ask me for iPad number, let's say 546. And we had that iPad in the classroom, and she said, I got a printout that said that students were using the iPad and looking up things inappropriate. So I talked to the students about it doesn't matter what iPad you're on. If you think you're in the back of the classroom, so you're supposed to be researching and you look up something inappropriate, it always can be traced back. And so we talk about how devices are always monitored and we know what goes on. They're now logging in with their own credentials, and so everything is monitored. Protecting their information is also important, especially since this year our first graders are logging in, my second graders are logging in using their own information, and to protect that information. With the classroom rules, really keeping them short, keep them clean, and stick to them. So I looked up different anchor charts online. I shared with you one. I shared with them different things, and then we came up with as a class the rules on cyber safety. I can't really say exactly what the rules should be for everyone because I think it's different depending on your age group. I think that if your students create them, then they mean more. And so that's what I would suggest would be to introduce them to the terms, what it means, and then after they have background knowledge on exactly what it is to be safe, then they can help you to create a list of rules for the classroom. They actually come up with some really good ones. These are just some classroom rules, examples. Again, I found them online, and it's helpful if you kind of read some that people have created before, and it kind of gets their brain moving and it kind of gets them to understand. Um, Talking to the parents or teacher if anything pops up on the internet they feel is not appropriate. Never give out your personal information. Be polite and respectful. Those types of things. So I'm going to show you this resource that is super helpful, and I'm going to link in this Prezi so people can find it here. Hmm, it's not working for some reason. Let's see. My link did not work at the moment. So Common Sense Media is free, and I encourage you to create on here a login for yourself. And I'm going to log in and kind of show you some different things. Goodness, my couple passwords here. And oh, goodness. All my hefty passwords. I need to. I didn't realize. I think it's. Goodness, I'm sorry, guys. Maybe it's. I'm on the wrong one for the educators. That's probably why. Goodness me. Okay. So when you log in, sorry about that. Oh my goodness, all my different passwords, a slew of them everywhere. You can see that there's a bunch of different areas here. And when you click on digital citizenship, it really talks about what is it. There's a scope and sequence, there's some curriculum, there's classroom posters. So here, if I click, there's games, interactives. And I know sometimes, especially for myself, whenever I was introduced to, talking about digital citizenship and what should we do, how do I go about teaching it in my classroom, and you kind of feel like you're at a loss. You're looking for different things. And I found that if you click on here and you can download, it goes by grades here, K through 2. It breaks up into units. It talks about relationship, community, digital footprints. You can really go in here and you can find different lesson plans that are already done for you. It's free. Um, these are a lot of TEAC based in here. They have, I'm going to download. And you can see here how they go through and they have their scope and sequence as they be units, and they break them down into different units, powerful passwords, how do you create a secure password, those types of things. You can check them off as you go through and say that you've completed them. The end of the page. There is a contract on here that you can find that you can print off a digital citizenship contract for your students, 3 through 5, 6 through 8, 9 through 12. Wide variety here. They also have different professional developments that they offer here. There's a part for parents too that's really cool, that you can. When I first signed up for it, it asked me if I wanted to be alerted when there was a new information coming out that I could send home to parents. And so there's parent areas that you can send home new articles, new up-to-date information for parents and send them home. A lot of times parents want to know exactly what they can do to help, things like that. On the educators tab here, there's also some different games that you can. This right here is digital passport, which I'm about to show you in just a moment, of some different things that the students can use online in the computer lab, which by far is the coolest thing. Um, so here's some different posters that you can print off and you can talk with your students. Information, fake or real. We really talk a lot in class about how information is not always real. It's perceived to be so, but it's the internet. And I think starting out young with the students, even my daughter that's 5, I start out with her, she's on her apps and different things and talking about safety. I think it's important that you start as early as you can, especially if the device is in their hand. Pause, think online. So there's a bunch of resources on here that I wanted to show you. You can go to commonsense.org and you can create a login and use this for yourself so you can print off. Even if you just start with one thing, I would get on and I would go to their scope and sequence and I would click on an area for a lesson. And I would click on one lesson and I would download it. And then I would just start with that. And I would say each 6 weeks, try to do at least 2. And I know at the beginning of the year, I'm always gun ho and do some lessons, and then you find yourself getting neck deep within your curriculum and then you forget to go back. But really it has to be something consistent and constant, especially as the students are getting more into research and they're diving deeper. You need to make sure that you're spiraling around and going back over digital citizenship with them again. And I'm guessing that the links are not going to work in here, so we will go through that same problem again. Having the students held accountable, students need to know that they are held accountable for everything they say. Are they right? Just the best policy in class is to be honest. Anything that you're putting out there is always out there. It is stuck. And I tell them that honest information is the best information to put. Student teaching about citing is important too, and I even think that for my second graders, and that's where I've kind of started. Give credit where credit is due, and you start very simple, and it doesn't have to be be something that's huge and drawn out, but really talking about it's someone else's work and to give credit where it's due and doing a mini lesson, pulling students aside and showing them how. Um, this is also, we talk about responsible use. In the classroom, we share about 6 iPads in my classroom. And so we talk about balancing your time. The classroom with limited devices, you need to be respectful. You need to be respectful of the others in the classroom, and you need to be respectful of yourself. And so I find that the students, a lot of times, if you really put that in, being respectful, everyone wants to use the devices, and we need to be respectful or else we are not going to be using them. And they know in class they're using them for a purpose. There's always a purpose to use their technology within the classroom. This one everyone's probably seen before. I think it's pretty great. I know a parent had talked about how they got this through the district. It got sent home at some point, and they laminated it and they put it on the refrigerator. And for their older kids, it resonates, and for younger too. Think, is it true? Is it hurtful? Is it illegal? Is it necessary? Is it kind? Think before you do anything within social media. This is just kind of reviewing, protecting your information. And this is kind of what we use. I found this picture and I thought it was great because within Montessori, we have a lot of works and things that they're using on the floor. But this actual girl here, I would cut out the labels and the students would match the labels to the different areas and they would review this and they would actually put them, they would read them aloud and they would talk about what they mean. So this, you can blow this up and you can take the labels and you can have students identify the different areas of the body. Um, it's pretty helpful, especially with the younger kids. Pictures always help. So this is called Digital Passport, and this is really what I wanted to show everyone, that this is really where the students, once you talk about what digital citizenship is, you show the students, you create rules within the classroom. They now have the access to the computer lab, and you talk about the safety. Then you can allow them to use this resource to practice.
Let's try this again. Teaching digital literacy and citizenship. Yikes. No, I need one answer. Cool enough for my 4th and 5th graders. Fun. Like a game couldn't hurt. Serious, though. Reports, so I can prove they're getting it. Oh, and 0 budget, of course. And need it now. Huh. Digital passport.
So this is a quick introductory video. When I asked different teachers when I was preparing for this about things that they found helpful or something that they would like to use with their students, no one had heard of Digital Passport, and neither had I before I did some research on it. And I think that it's super helpful to get the information out there. It's free. Many people might know about it, and there's also a lot that do not. But having the students, sometimes you feel like you have the lesson plan and you can, it seems overwhelming to implement it and that type of thing. And Digital Passport is where they log on and they are going to practice being cyberwise within this program. So I wanted to see, and hopefully this link works. My luck, it will not. So you go to digital passport, you would create yourself an account here. There's student login, educator login. So I'm going to go to the educator login to kind of show you. It's very quick, it's very simple to be able to do this. So when you first log on, you'll see here that it kind of shows you ready to get started. You create a group, which you are going to add your students in, customize activities. And I think it's great too because they have activities ranging from kindergarten all the way through 6th, 7th grade. You can view their data and preview and play different things. It gives you some educator materials here. It shows you their goals, what the students are going to learn. It has different modules, a bunch of like materials in here for supporting. And this is a cool video here that it's actually not on there right now, but it was a girl and she's talking about how it was helpful for her things that she did on there, a bunch of different videos. It talks about when you get into different modules, which is the cyberbullying. When you get into, I actually have these modules on here because mine is set up and it's set up for first graders and second graders. So these are going to be the areas that the modules that they're going to focus on. But if you click on your grade level, it'll pull up something that's going to be different. It talks about, of course, here's your objectives and things that students are going to work on. You have your verbs you're going to identify. Those are always important. The different, this is search shark and it tells you what the students will be working on. And it goes through and shows you different ones. You can download some of the PDFs with detailed information. I want to show you some of these and what the students will be doing. So these are some, this is of course what I'm going to see, but the students is going, their view is a little bit different. And this one, this one's talking, this is Twalkers. This is showing students about walking with their face in their phones and about the safety of crossing a street with your face in the phone and that kind of thing. And we take all that stuff and we think it seems so silly, but it's a safety issue. And, devices are always in our students' hands at a young age and they aren't paying attention to what's going on around them. And it pulls up and there's, seeing if it'll pull up these little walkers that are walking around with their phones in their faces, and it pulls up like questions, and the students have to answer the questions based on safety. Let's see why it's not loading at the moment. You go live and everything stops working. It's about how it works. Well, let's see. This is the coolest part, to see all the different games. I wonder if it's pulling it in the back here. My goodness me. See if I can access it a different way. Well, my apologies. It does not want to work. So here's where you can add your group and you can select the grade level. And when I created mine, I just put my first name. And then you add your students in there and they get to play all these games based on these customized activities. And you will go through and you will create those customized activities. So these kind of, they have some different activities and worksheets that can go along with the different games that they're playing. And here, so you can see a crossword. So there's a bunch of different resources. I just really wish that I could see the games with you. Here's some family tips. Help them find information online, things that are relevant for them. And again, these are all the different cool games that they have. And of course, typically they show up. I'll try one last time. It's drawing a blank. So the digital passport, like I said, is really super helpful getting your students on it. When you go to digitalpassport.org, logging in, registering, putting your students in. I just had my students ask for their name. I used their logins that they use at school, so it's easy and they know kind of how to log in. And that you select. It kind of gives you different. Like a scope and sequence, also the different units that you can click on based on their ages, and you click on them, and then it uploads this um, for them, all the games for them, and they work through them. And I clicked for them to allow to play the games more than once. You can click for them to only do it once, but for practice, and they really love doing it. And it emphasizes on their digital citizenship, being safe on the internet. And here are some resources, and you can go to digitalcitizenship.net. You can go to, we have the passport online, and those are the things that are most helpful. And so I hope today was helpful for you. Um, in closing, that what I would like to say is, for me, I was trying to find something that would benefit my students within class, that I did not have to reinvent the wheel, and for them to really understand what it meant. We can throw around digital citizenship to them, but the younger students, it's kind of difficult for them to grasp and understand. The internet is just the internet. Their apps are just their apps, and that is all it is to them. And there are some pretty good videos out there on YouTube that show a lot of great things for them, but really having them create their own rules and safety within the classroom and what they're going to abide by within your class also, and getting them linked on the digital passport, creating that for your students, putting all their names in and letting them play with that, all the different games. And for me, I think what's helpful for teachers is the common sense, going there and being able to look at the different online lesson plans they have, resources for parents at home. And that, for me, I think is what I really wanted to base this training on, was just some resources for you. And I found that these two resources, Common Sense and Digital Passport, were the two helpful ones for me. Common Sense, again, is just a resource for yourself as a teacher, and the Digital Passport is a resource for yourself, but mainly students, so that they can practice being cyber wise through games. So I hope you enjoyed. I'm sorry with some of the technical issues. My link's not working, and the videos, and hopefully this will be helpful. And I can't wait to hear if you were able to get on Digital Passport with your students and how they liked it. I don't know if there's any questions. I'll wait a second to see if there are any questions. If you need me to help you get on Digital Passport or help you get on Common Sense, you can email me. It's klchinsk@garlandisd.net. But they're pretty self explanatory and very easy to get on. They are free. Jennifer will provide the link. Are there any questions?